Hey guys, so today I want to talk about finishing your projects or finishing projects. Now, there's a great video on this by Jake Parker called Finish Not Perfect, and I'll put a link to his video in the description because I'll probably be like kind of paraphrasing what he has to say here and sprinkling in a few of my own little thoughts. Now, I really used to focus on like getting those story beats down, nailing them perfectly. Like I really took a lot of stock in, if I was making a story, I would take a lot of stock in like writing a twist or making a character intriguing, and I really wanted them to be as interesting as humanly possible. But the compromise was that a lot of my stuff was never actually really seen, and this is something that I'm still very much working on to this day. But the more I think about it and the older I get, the more I go, I really just want to finish a story. Like, not that I don't want it to be good. Of course, it's gonna have to be good, and I really want the quality to come through. But I really want I want to make a finished project. And you can look back on my video called The Beauty of Short Stories, I think it's called. But I used to really want to make these long form, grandiose types of stories that I wouldn't even know the ending to yet. But nowadays it's like I kind of just want to make something from start to finish and then have it out so people can actually see it from start to finish. And I always thought that was a pretty cool thing too. But I think, as I said, like the older I get, the older you get, the less time you have. So I kind of really want to be able to have more stories under my belt, and they don't really have to be like perfect. Like I know that my art style will be changing either way. Like it doesn't matter if my art style is not perfect because it'll be changing no matter what. So I used to be so worried about that, and like worried about that, oh, my art isn't where it's at, my perspective isn't where it's at, my characters aren't where they at. Like all those things that you worry about, if you're working on a story, you don't have to really, it's not something that really should hinder you from making the story that you want to make. And worrying about it being perfect will only stop you from progressing in your journey to being an artist. So I always thought that was kind of a thing that I had to like kind of work on, and that's kind of the trajectory I'm going in now, is that you don't have to wait around for some perfect scenario to happen in your head. Just write it down. Even if it's like going to be on the back burner, you'll have it written down, and even if you don't have it done from start to finish, you'll have it down somewhere. Like I'm finding the value in physically writing things down rather than typing it up and having it in a random file somewhere that I'll may or may not come back to. And I know a lot of my artist friends also have this problem where it's like, oh, I would draw this comic, or I would write that story, or I would do this or I would do that, but I haven't figured this out, and I haven't really learned how to draw this and that. And it's like, either way, like that isn't to say that you rush into something like this, because it does take thought, it does take time, but a lot of people stop at that development stage or the world building stage. World building stage can be a very, very slippery slope. It can be like a holding pattern until you're ready, and then what if you're never ready because the world is never built or never perfect enough for you to start? And I think that it's okay for the world or even the characters to not be all the way written, as long as because like when you start a story, you start at the beginning, just like your readers do. You start at the beginning. They don't know everything about the character or the world like in the beginning. They're not supposed to, you know what I mean? Unless you totally just wrote a text wall at the very first page of your story, then I don't know what to tell you. But like overall, a lot of people, when they get introduced to a new character or a new world or a new concept, they don't know where you're going to go with it. So it's not really the biggest deal to have it all laid out perfectly before you start, because they know about as much as they are given. So if you're going to write a story or anything, just have it down. You can kind of work out the kinks as you go. I wouldn't say everything has to be on the fly or anything. I'm not saying that, but as long as you have like a fairly decent foundation, you don't really have to worry about perfecting any of it. It can be built up pretty decently if you have a good premise down or a good character basis and their motivations down first. But yeah, like I'm really, that's something that I'm working on. And I think with the way that I've started to write my comics, they're either like fun little one-off comics, or they're, okay, if I'm going to write the story, I want it to be beginning, middle, end, and then it's this one story in this sort of like, not what is that term? It's not self-contained, but it is a story that can be continued in another type of like way. Like it's a continuation of the story, so that like I'll have a beginning, middle, end for these moments, and that's a story, and then I'll move on to the next thing, and then you can kind of like get an inkling for what order it goes in. Like I don't want to make a whole long like thing that I don't even know. Like I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, basically. And that's why I have this goal of finishing more projects and not worrying about whether or not they're drawn or executed perfectly. So yeah, Finish Not Perfect, links in the description if you haven't seen the video yet. And I think I'll put it in the cards too. Y'all, I don't really put things in cards a whole lot because this is a daily thing and I don't always remember to put like the sources in the cards. But I'll try, like no guarantees, but I'll try to go back and do that for future reference. But yeah, Jake Parker's video, and I think that's about it that I had to say about finishing projects. It's really important to me, and I think it should be more of a priority to artists to finish projects so that they can have more stuff for people to see, and like you can kind of get a feel for the kind of stuff that they make and the kind of content that they like, and you might like that same content too. So that's about it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.